Yo, good morning, everyone. Mr. Smitty back again. Just wanted to make part two of the ATM Machine.java video. In part one, I went through the setup of the program, talked a little bit about what it's going to do, and then I basically left two methods for you to work on your own. So we've actually had class since then, and I gave you a little help and you worked through them. So I did want to make the, guess, part two video where I'm going to go through depositing checks, withdrawing money, and then also two of the four added fun things. All right, so I'm going to start by switching over to my lab. All right, so everyone should get their lab out. So we did parts one, two, three, and four of the lab, and we left off where you needed to do part five, which was depositing the checks by yourself. All right, so we're going to start there. So ask the user how many checks they would like to deposit, and then prompt for the amount of each check. All right, so we obviously need a variable here. So I don't know. We could, I like to make them global in case we ever want to use them again. So I'm just going to call this int num checks is equal to 0. So, first initialization of it, number of checks is just 0. All right, so here we're going to prompt the user. So system.out.print ln. Well, I'm going to do print without the ln. So how many checks do you have to deposit? All right, that's a nice little question. And then num checks is going to be equal to whatever they type in. All right, so okay, sorry, we got to make num checks up here static, so that way we can use it inside of this static method. So don't forget to make your variables static when you make them global. All right, so we have the number of checks, keyboard.nextInt, so we can store the number of checks so we can use it. All right, so once we have that, our number of checks is going to vary from every iteration of the program, every different user. My mom might use this and she'll have 5 checks. I might use it. I might have one. So it's going to vary. All right. So we know that when we have a varying amount, but a finite amount, that when we use our loop, it's going to be a counter controlled, which is a for loop. All right. So here we're going to have a for loop that starts when I is equal to 0, as long as I is less than the num of checks, and I is going to plus plus. All right. So again, we need to say, like, what is the amount of check 1? What is the amount of check 2? And go all the way until we reach the number of checks they have. So that is why we use a for loop. So we start at 0 and we go to num checks. All right. So I'm just going to ask them, you know, uh, what is the amount of check number? All right, so here I'm going to use I plus 1 because I want it to say like check 1, check 2, check 3 or whatever. But to do that, I have to use I plus 1 because we started I at 0. I could have started I at 1 and then went to num checks plus 1. I just like to edit it down here. So what is the amount of check number, whatever, and then we're going to store their answer. But let's go ahead and just update balance while we do that, right? So what we're trying to do is however much the check is, we're adding it to their checking account balance. So balance is equal to balance plus whatever they put in. So we'll just use our scanner for that. So keyboard.next double. So balance is already a double. We're going to say balance is equal to whatever the balance was plus whatever they put in. All right, and that's it for deposit checks. So if I run this, my username was Smitty. My PIN was 5555. Let me go and check my account balance. I got that $5,645.13. I'm going to press 2 to deposit checks. How many checks do I have? I have 3. I'm going to have a $100 check, a $1,000 check, and a $200 check. Alright, and then if I check my balance, so that should be 5,645 plus 1,000 would be 6,645 plus 300, so 6,945. So let's see if it worked. And we get 6,945. All right. So our deposit checks works. We can tell them how many checks and we can update the balance. So I'm going to click the little red square here. That'll end my run. So now I need to work on withdrawal. All right. So if we go back into the lab, ask the user how much money they would like to withdraw and subtract that amount. Awesome. Do not allow the withdrawal to exceed the account balance. All right. So I think in class we didn't double check this. So if you watch this video, make sure you double check that you have done that part. All right, so let's ask them how much they want to withdraw. So withdrawal amount. So again, I'm going to do print, not print line. I'm just such a habit. All right, withdrawal amount, and then update. Well, so what we need to do first is we need to say if whatever they input, so keyboard.next double, if that is less than or equal to whatever the balance already is, then we're going to subtract it. So balance minus the balance. Oh, sorry. Balance is equal to the balance minus whatever they input. So we're double checking that whatever they're trying to withdraw is less than their current balance. And then else we'll just say, you know, that would cause you to go, or invalid, balance would become negative. Something like that, right? So if they enter an amount that is less than or equal to how much money they have in their checking account, we just subtract that. Else, the balance would become negative. So let's test that real quick. So I'm going to do another run. Your boy Smitty, 5555. All right. So now I want to withdraw money, so I put in a 3. Withdrawal amount, let me take 2 G's out. All right. Okay, so it looks like I'm hung up somewhere. And okay, I think it's hung up. So I actually made kind of a rookie mistake here, which is awesome, so that y'all can see this. Putting the scanner here and the scanner here, it's wanting me to input the number twice. It wants me to input the number there and input the number there. So what I actually need to do is store it and use the variable. Let's blame this on Mr. Smith just waking up this morning. Alright, so instead of using keyboard.nextDouble, let's use withdrawal. So that way it's not, so every time we called keyboard.nextDouble, it's trying to use our scanner, and we don't want to do that. We want to just use the scanner once instead of using it twice. Rookie mistake, but we all learned from it, right? All right, so now I'm going to run my program. Say Smitty 5555, 3 to withdraw money, and take out 2 G's. All right, now if I check my balance there, my balance is down to 3,645. Let me withdraw more. I want to draw 4 G's. It tells me invalid, balance would become negative. All right, cool. So our withdrawal money works, and our ATM is actually pretty freaking clever. I think what I do want to do real quick is after each one of these, I want to try to add a print statement. And I think that'll just give us a nice little spacing. You don't have to do this, but it'll give us a spacing in between each run. 2, 3, 4 with check balance. Well, that one actually didn't work. So that is not in the right spot. So I think I'd have to add it at the end of each of these. So inside of each line call here, you would have to add a blank print line just to add some spacing, like so. Just so you can see better. So Smitty 5555 check balance. Well, I'm gonna come back to that because that isn't even working now. Shoulda did check balance menu choice print line. Oh, it's because it's the first run. So I need to actually. Alright. So I don't want to confuse you, but that's just more for me. That's more for my organization of my own program. Alright, so now let's look at the 2 extra tasks I've given you here. So for the independent learning day we had, you should have looked at 4 added fun in the first 2. On Tuesday, February 23rd, we're going to look at these 2 right here. So let's take a look at the first 2 parts of 4 added fun. The first one is give users 3 chances to enter in the correct credentials. All right, so we need to give them 3 chances to enter in their correct credentials. So what that means is we need to have a counter that counts how many times they've entered their credentials, and once it reaches 4, because right, we're going to give them 3 times, then we're going to break out of this loop. All right, so we do know how many times the loop is going to run, but what we don't know is if they're going to get it correct on 1, 2, 3, or 4. So we actually need a sentinel controlled loop here, which is a while loop, because like I said, it's unknown when it's going to finish. All right, use a for loop when you know exactly how many times it's going to run. A while loop is if you know, you might know, but you don't know. All right, and we don't know for sure how many times. So what I'm going to do is I am going to find where my while loop finishes. All right, so I'm actually going to find where that and that. Okay, so all of this. All right, so I need you to take all of this and tab it over. So from the while loop all the way down through the else statement. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to say while our counter is not equal to 4. All right, so we are going to add a counter that counts how many times that they input their username. Oh, I actually put it in the wrong spot. Ignore me. All right, so we're going to, and it's actually got to go up here. So it's got to go above where we're checking to see if their username and PIN is correct. All right. So we're going to say while counter does not equal 4. So while our counter does not equal 4, all right, and then I added my bracket. So now I actually need to go and highlight everything I was just showing you and tab that over. And then at the end here, after the bracket with the else, I need to add another bracket. And you can see that I have that highlighted and it's highlighted back to that while counter. That's how you can double check. All right, so while my counter does not equal 4. All right, it's mad because we haven't created counter. So I'm going to go up here and just say int counter is equal to 0. Well, I'm going to start it at 1. So we go 1, 2, 3, and then 4 it'll break. All right, so counter is equal to 1. Okay, if the username is correct, all right, if they get it correct, then it's not a big deal. But every time they get it wrong, we need to increase our counter here. All right, so if every time they get it incorrect, we increase our counter. So that way, the first time they try, it's 1, but then it becomes 2. Second time they try, it's 2, it becomes 3. Third time they try, it's 3 and becomes 4, and our while loop breaks, and then, basically it's over. So what we can say is if, let's see, it'll be 1 to 2, 2 to 3, 1, 2, 1 to 2, 2 to 3, 3 to 4. So we can even say right here, we can keep up with the attempt. So if we said something like attempt number and then plus the counter and then plus space failed. All right, so we can even keep up with their attempt. So let's just run it and see how we're doing. All right, so I'm going to run it, and I say Smitty, and then I get my pin wrong. All right, so it says attempt number 1 failed, username or pin was incorrect, you are now locked out. Okay, so it does run the 3 times like I want, but the issue is it's not re-prompting for the pin. All right, and the reason why is because our prompt for the pin is actually up here outside of our while loop. So what we want to do is you want to move this part into the while loop so it happens every time. So beforehand, we weren't checking multiple times, all right? We weren't giving more than one attempt, so it was okay that this was outside of that while loop. But now that we're doing that, you need to copy from here through the pin input, all right? And you're going to notice you're going to get some errors because we just deleted a bunch of stuff. But this actually needs to be the first thing you do in this while loop. Oh, right, so tab that over. First thing you do in the while loop. So let's run it again and see. So Smitty 4545. All right, attempt 1 failed, username or pin was incorrect. You are now locked out. I might want to change that because technically they're not locked out. All right, so there we go. All right, we are having another issue here. Our username is being skipped over. The reason why is because we're using next line here. Again, this was okay before we put it in the while loop. So you need to change this next line to be a next. All right, change your next line to be a next. It's getting skipped unless you just change it to a next. So just to show you, Smitty 4543. All right, now it wants the username again. All right, it's allowing me to put in that username because I changed that next line back to a next. All right, so sometimes you'll have that issue. You just got to be aware of it. Okay, so at this point, we've given them 3 chances, and then our program breaks. So if we break out of the while loop, all right, so let's find, all right, this is the bracket for the while loop. So if we break out of that, we can say like too many failed attempts. Please wait 24 hours, something like that. All right, so just to show you that will work, Smitty 4545, Smitty, Smitty. All right, you are now locked out. Too many failed attempts. Please wait 24 hours. All right, so I just found where the while loop ends, and then I put a print statement after that bracket. That's all I did there. Okay, so at this point, I know we're about 20 minutes into this video, but we have done this first part here. So the second bullet point, only allow withdrawals in increments of 20. If the user chooses an amount that is not a multiple of 20, they should receive an error message and be prompted for a valid amount. All right, so that means we need to move up into withdrawal here. And they have to put in something that is at least an increment of 20. So they're going to input the amount, and we're going to say while withdrawal mod 20 is not equal to 0. then we're going to tell them, and I'm going to explain all this. I'll explain all this once I type it. All right. So while withdrawal mod 20 is not equal to 0, we're going to say your withdrawal must be an increment of 20. Try again. All right. Then I'm going to say withdrawal amount, just like we did above. And then I'm going to do our keyboard.next double. All right. So what you're probably saying to yourself is, Smitty, why did you use a modulus here? All right. So when we're looking for stuff that's going to be an increment of something else, we have to find the remainder. All right. So if I have 100 and I mod 20 that, so that's 100 divided by 20, and what's the remainder? Well, the remainder is going to be 0. All right. So if I do 25 mod 20, that's 25 divided by 20, and the remainder is 5. All right. So basically, if it is an increment of 20, so 20, 40, 60, 80, 100, 120, whatever, if it is an increment of 20, then my remainder is going to be 0. So I'm saying while the remainder of this is not 0, I need you to keep entering a new amount. So while the remainder is not 0, give me a different number. All right. And I'm just going to kind of space that out so it's on its own. So let's try it. All right. So get into my account. 5555. I want to withdraw. I want to withdraw 100 bucks. Not a problem, right? It withdrew 100 bucks. Now I want to withdraw $645. Your withdrawal must be an increment of 20. Try again. All right, I see here that I did a print line. Remember, I'm bad habit. So right here on this, on inside the while loop, that one, I need to change that to a print because I want it to show up next to it. So I'm going to try that again. So once you've clicked the red square, if you click the green arrows here, it'll just rerun it. Smitty 5555. I want to withdraw 4564 whatever. Your withdrawal must be an increment of 20. Please try again. All right. So this is exactly what we want to do, right? Look back at our PDF. Only allow withdrawals of $20 if the user chooses an amount that is not a multiple 20, they should receive and be prompted again. So we've done that, all right? So at this point, we have 2 more bullet points for the for added fun. I'm going to leave that for you to do during class, let you get a good attempt at it, and then I'll probably make a part 3 video because, you know, this is a really cool lab. I feel like it's our first like real world simulation of a full working machine. And it's just, you know, there's a lot of learning, a lot of concepts here. So, all right, guys. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this video. As always, please like, subscribe, and share. I will be putting out videos every few days. All right. Take care and see you next time.